I'll call the order of the meeting to the Board of Zoning Appeals, November 13th, 2024. If we can stand and say the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In my email, sorry. I thought I had it in my email.
Yeah, it's kind of buried.
All right. Can we do the roll call, please?
Jeff Tidrow? Or Jeff, I'm sorry, Rob Tidrow.
Here.
Sayward Salazar.
Here.
Nathan Sheets.
Here.
I'd like to hear does anyone want to approve the minutes for September 11th? Forgot the wording.
Yes, I'll make a motion to approve them.
Thank you.
I'll second.
I say it?
All those in
Or did
favor?
she say it? Oh, all in favor?
Aye.
Great, thank you. All right, we'll have the proof of publication, please.
Thank you. This notice was published in advance. It states the time, date, and place and the items on the agenda for tonight's public hearing. I would ask the board to make a motion to accept this proof of publication.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, let's move into new business. The first petition we have tonight is BZA 21-2024. Jesse Merck, if you could come forward and talk to us a little bit about your petition.
Evening. My name is Jesse Merck. I'm in local real estate entrepreneur here in town. I have about 80 properties throughout the city. I take old dilapidated buildings and completely transform them, make them into livable spaces. I buy a lot of from the sheriff's sale and foreclosures and things like that. And recently I came across a house about a year ago at 1415 Harris Street. It had a single-family dwelling in the front, and then upon looking at the building, the accessory building in the back, it had full plumbing, it had water already ran to it, and it was used in the past as a complete dwelling unit, but that while it was being used as that, it was kind of not, it wasn't ever formally used as a dwelling unit or kind of went through like this kind of process. So what I'm asking is to actually formally convert the accessory dwelling unit into an actual livable dwelling for our community.
No question.
No question.
Okay, thank you. Open for public comment next, right? Sorry, it's been a long time since I've had to sit in this spot. Now we'll open for public comment. If there's anyone here to speak in opposition of the petition, please come forward, state your name and address. If there is anyone here in favor of the petition, please come forward, state your name and address. Seeing none, we will move forward to the staff report.
Ms. Chair, we also need to probably do a housekeeping disclaimer about a three-person vote to the quorum.
Correct. So in order for anything to pass this evening, it will have to be unanimous because we only have 3 members tonight, so that will be our quorum.
Okay, the petition of Jesse Merck, owner and agent at 1415 Harris Street in Richmond, Indiana, is requesting a special exception use to allow for an accessory dwelling unit in the urban residential district. The use is single-family residential. Zoning is urban residential. Lot size is about 5,227 square feet. The zoning, north, south, east, and west, is all urban residential. The land use all around is single-family residential. We're looking at Article 213, permitted uses as an exception, special exception. Accessory dwelling unit is listed as a special exception use that requires Board of Zoning Appeals approval. The proposed variance would allow for an accessory dwelling unit in the urban residential zoning district. The background for the subject property was built in 1950 as part of the Fairview Heights subdivision platted in 1916. The owner is requesting approval for an accessory dwelling unit in the existing garage in the urban residential district. Our UDO was updated per ordinance 22-2023 to allow for accessory dwelling as a special exception in the urban residential zoning district, subject to approval from the BZA. The property has never been granted a variance before. On October 30th, a public hearing was advertised in the Western Wayne News. On October 31st, 42 adjacent properties were notified about the variance and public hearing by mail, and there were no letters that came back. The planning staff consulted with all city departments and utilities to determine any objections based on public health and safety, and there were none raised. Staff recommends approving the petition to allow an accessory dwelling unit in the urban residential zoning district per Article 213. The proposed findings of facts. The special exception is consistent with the purpose of the zoning district and the Richmond Comprehensive Plan because an accessory dwelling is listed as a special exception use in the urban residential district with approval of the BZA. The use does not conflict with the Richmond Comprehensive Plan. The plan's future land use identifies the property as a part of a traditional neighborhood which serves as a transition between rural and high-density areas such as commercial corridors and mixed urban development. An accessory dwelling is a low-impact residential use that should not interfere with the characteristics of the traditional neighborhood. Over the years, the garage has been used as an accessory dwelling with working plumbing, electric and gas, and sewer. The owner would like to update all aspects of the dwelling to the current Indiana building codes and continue to meet the need for additional housing in our community. The special exception will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community because the accessory development standards in Article 5.03 of the UDO states that the accessory dwelling shall contain a bathroom, kitchen, and sleeping facilities. One parking space shall be available for an accessory dwelling and shall utilize the utility connections that serve the primary structure, which is the primary dwelling. The special exception is in harmony with all adjacent land uses because in this urban residential area, many properties have accessory dwellings in the rear. The special exception will not alter the character of the district because the exterior finish and the facade of any accessory dwelling shall match closely, resemble, or significantly complement the materials and colors used on the primary structure, which are found in Article 5.09 of the UDO. The special exception will not adversely impact property value because the accessory dwelling unit is an existing structure that has been used as a dwelling in the past and is now being remodeled and built to current Indiana building code for a livable space in the urban residential zoning districts. There is one written commitment. The accessory dwelling may not be occupied until all general remodel permits have been approved and final inspections completed by Richmond City Building Commissioner. Happy to answer any questions.
Questions from the board?
I have a question. In the written commitments, what kind of general remodel permits or what needs to be done to bring it up to code then like this?
He has taken out a general remodel permit already
Okay.
to update the electric, plumbing, painting, walls, everything that would, be
Okay.
expected for a general remodel.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions from the staff? All right, hearing no more questions, we will move forward to hear a motion.
I'll make a motion. Oh, go ahead.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
So moved. Go. Say it. Do you know what to say?
All those in favor?
No.
No.
You say, I'd like to make a motion to approve BZA 2124 based on the findings.
I would like to make a motion to approve BZA 2124
In the written commitments.
And the written commitments. All those in favor say,
No, she says that. Hold on, yes, a second.
okay, sorry.
No,
Okay,
this is fine.
So you made the motion, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
give it a second,
I'll second.
and then she'll
Thanks.
roll.
Rob Tidrow,
Yes.
Hayward Salazar,
Aye.
Nathan Sheets.
Aye.
Motion has passed. Congratulations. Thank you. All right, moving on to BZA 22-2024, the petition of Wade Robertson, owner and agent. If you could come forward and tell us about your project, please.
Hello, my name is Wade Robertson. I'm a general contractor / developer here in Centerville, Indiana. I bought this property on Bryant Drive 15 or 20 years ago, and I developed it, and I am actually in the Richmond's 2-mile fringe, which is something that's totally new to me. I've never run into this issue before. But so I built a house. I got the building permits and all the zoning permits, and I built this house not realizing that there's frontage on 2 sides because it's a corner lot. I thought it was a side yard instead of what I consider a side yard versus a front yard. So I'm actually asking for a variance to change that front yard setback to the north because now the house is completely constructed and it's done and it's ready to move into right now. But yet I'm not the 100-foot setback that they require. So the house is setting in the middle of the lot. As you can see, there's no issues with it impeding on anybody else's property or anything like that. So I'm just asking for the variance to change that setback so we can go ahead and get this house sold and done, so.
Thank you. You guys have any questions?
No, I do not.
Okay, thank
No
you.
questions.
We'll now open for public hearing. If there's anyone here to speak in opposition of the petition, please come forward, state your name and address. If there is anyone here speaking in favor, please come forward and state your name and address. Seeing none, we'll move forward to the staff report.
Petitioner Wade Robertson, owner and agent. Location is 2771 Bryant Drive in Richmond. They're requesting a variance of development standards to reduce the minimum front yard setback in the agricultural zoning district. The use is residential, single family. The zoning is agricultural. The lot size, 78,408 square feet. Zoning to the north, agricultural. To the south, agricultural. To the east, institutional. To the west, agricultural. Land use to the north is residential, single-family farm. South, residential, single-family. East is institutional, Richmond Living Faith Church. The west is residential, single-family. UDO Article 2.4. Agricultural District Development Standards for a minimum front yard setback, 75 feet for primary structure. The variance, the proposed variance would allow a reduction in the minimum front yard requirement of 75 feet for primary structures. Specifically, the variance would allow for a 50-foot front yard setback reduction of 25 feet. An improvement location permit was submitted and approved for a new construction of a single-family dwelling on May 1st of 2024. Somewhere in the process, the original setbacks that were submitted were misconstrued, and the structure was constructed in the 75-foot setback. The property's setbacks adhere to the minimum setback requirements for all residential zoning districts. The subdivision was platted in 2005. When the lots were subdivided, it maintained its agricultural zoning rather than to be zoned to the more appropriate R1 or R2. The property has not been granted a variance before. On October 30th, 2024, the public hearing was advertised in the Wayne News. On October 30th, 2024, 7 adjacent property owners were notified about the variance and public hearing by mail.
We received one letter in favor from Fred and Marilyn Haber, 842 Toby Road, Eaton, Ohio.
The planning staff consulted with all city departments and utilities to determine any objections based on public health and safety, and none were raised. Practical difficulty is a difficulty with regards to one's ability to improve the land stemming from regulations to this UDO ordinance. A practical difficulty is not a hardship, rather it's a situation where the owner could comply with all the regulations within this UDO, but would like a variance from the development standards to improve their site in a practical manner. For instance, a person may request a variance from a side yard setback due to a large tree which is blocking the only location that would meet the development standards for a new garage location. Staff recommends approving the application to reduce the front yard setback standard in the agricultural zoning district on the findings of facts. The approval of the variance will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community because the primary structure is well within the boundaries of the parcel, even with being in setback violation. Number 2, the use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in this variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner because the home is already established and is visually compatible with nearby houses. The strict application of the terms of the ordinance will result in practical difficulties in the use of the property because the parcel is a corner lot with agricultural setbacks, and there are no written commitments.
Thank you. Any questions from the board for the staff? Hearing no questions, I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve
I'll second.
BZA 22-2024.
All right,
Based on finding facts.
we've got a second. Will you take the roll call?
Rob Tidrow,
Yes.
Hayward Salazar,
Yes.
Nathan Sheets.
Yes.
Thank you. All right, and our last petition tonight, we'll move forward with BZA 23-2024, the petition of Steve Kreider, owner, Kevin, I'm just going to say B, agent requesting 4 variances of development. If you could come forward and tell us a little about your project and tell me how to pronounce the name.
Well, I will.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
No.
I didn't want to destroy it.
You did as well as most people do, so that's okay. My name is Kevin Buckheit, and I'm a planner with the law firm Krieg DeVault, here on behalf of the property owner Steve Kreider tonight. With me is a contingent from, excuse me, a contingent from Reith Riley, who will occupy the site for this asphalt plant. I'm going to keep my notes brief because the staff report is very thorough, very detailed, and right on point from my perspective, so kudos to your staff. The location is 2100 West Industries Road on approximately 47 acres on the north side of the street. North Salisbury Road is to the west, I-70 is to the north. The asphalt plant and the yard generally will be on the eastern half of the property. Access is by 2 full access driveways that have already been constructed. And as near as I can tell, they were part of the original construction of industry roads. Somewhere between 98 and 03 is what I could narrow it down to. The nature of this use is very heavy industry. It is stockpiles of materials that are part of the production of asphalt. They are the moving of those materials both in, on the site, and then eventually out. It's the manufacturing of the asphalt, loading it on the vehicles, and getting it to the site where it needs to be. So essentially, this is a pre-construction and staging yard for the much larger construction project that is Revive I-70. The variances that are being requested, there are 4 for landscaping and 1 for screening of outdoor storage. That's the stockpiles in this heavy industrial district. And the nature of that business needs to have the freedom of movement without endangering the folks on the job or anything else on the property. I communicated with staff earlier today, and I believe they have 1 letter of input from the public based on the notice that was sent out, and I'll let them speak to that. As I said, the report is very, very detailed. We appreciate and agree with the analysis. We appreciate the recommendation for approval, and we accept the commitments in the report. So our request before you tonight is approval of the variances under the application for BZA 2324 as presented, based on the findings and with the commitments listed in the staff report.
I have two questions. Three, maybe. We've already dealt with this piece of land before, right? For that company that was gonna come in and build some sheds or something, or metal stuff. Was there anything in that that would nullify this? Or,
No, that was just a straight rezone to high-intensity or industrial, so
Industrial,
all of the
okay.
permitted uses in that district are permitted.
and then we had talked about the water. There's water or some kind of a watershed there, or, does it come across Industries Road? It seems like there's a channel over there that is on the south side. Will that be affected, or?
It will not be affected. There is floodplain that clips the northeast corner of the site. And from what I could tell, I think it flows from north to south generally. And then it crosses Industry Road to the east of our site.
Okay,
And I'll just add, this is located within our Richmond Sanitary District boundary, so they would still need to get permits from the sanitary district, which would include, I think they would be looking into any potential effect on water as well.
okay. And third question is, how are you gonna access 70? Are you gonna, I've seen some, construction sites where they just cut straight into the interstate, or what? Are you gonna use the on-ramps, or?
The answer is yes and yes. Primarily, the access from the site to the construction site will be Industries Road to, and I just lost the name of the nearest street, the nearest intersection. The nearest intersection.
Right.
For I think, most of the project. But there will be a point at which NDOT will need to have this site access I-70 directly.
Okay.
And they'll deal with that. On my drive out here from Indianapolis tonight, I noticed one just to the west of Greenfield, where the same site had direct access for the ease of movement. So there will be that at some point.
Okay.
Point up
Thank you.
there exactly where we're looking at, like which plot of land.
Maybe, yeah,
Is it that?
With
That
water.
one right there?
yeah.
And we can go back to,
It's gonna be a pretty busy intersection there, because it looks like they're expanding some other businesses there, and.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I will now open this for public hearing. If anyone is here to speak in opposition of the petition, please come forward, state your name and address. If anyone is here to speak in favor of the petition, please come forward, state your name and address. Hearing none, we will move on to the staff report.
the petition of Steve Kreider, owner, and Kevin Buckheit, agent, location 2100 West Industries Road in Richmond, Indiana, requesting 5 variances of development standards to seek relief from, number 1, interstate buffer yard landscaping requirements, number 2, non-residential foundation and yard planting requirements, number 3, pond landscaping requirements, number 4, buffer yard planting requirements, and number 5, the screening of outdoor storage screening requirements in the high-intensity industrial district. Right now, the use is vacant and it's agricultural. The zoning is I-2. The lot size is over 47 acres. The zoning to the north is highway commercial. To the south is outdoor commercial and low to moderate intensity, which is I-1. To the east is outdoor commercial. To the west is I-2. The land use to the north is commercial, which is Love's Truck Stop. To the south, a vacant agricultural and also a warehouse, which is a storage facility under construction. To the east is a solar field, and to the west is the New Holland heavy equipment retailer. The other one is a vacant agricultural. So we're seeking relief from several articles. One is 5.43, 5.45, 5.48, 5.49, and 5.58. The proposed variance would allow the petitioner to install a temporary portable asphalt plant on the subject property without adhering to several non-residential landscaping standards, including adjacent property and interstate landscape buffering, pond planting, and foundation and yard planting requirements. The variance would also allow or provide relief from industrial outdoor storage screening requirements. Based on the historical aerial imagery dating back to 1936, the subject property has been used exclusively for agricultural purposes. There's no record of the property ever housing a primary structure. In 2022, Metal Max LLC, a Tennessee-based metal roofing and siding producer, successfully petitioned to have the property rezoned to high-intensity industrial on Ordinance 21-2022, but the project never came to fruition. Reith Riley plans to install a temporary portable asphalt plant on the property to operate for the duration of the Revive I-70 construction project. The eastern portion of the I-70 project, extending from the west of US 35 to the Ohio state line, is expected to begin construction in early 2025. The asphalt plant is considered a permitted use in the I-2 district. The present variance requests to seek relief from the I-2 development standards only. The property has not been granted a variance in the past. On October 30th, 2024, the public hearing was advertised in the Western Wayne News. On October 31st, 2024, 15 adjacent property owners were notified about the variance in a public hearing by mail, and I believe there was one response.
We have received one response from James Strada, president of New Holland, Richmond, from Rochester, Indiana, in favor of the petition.
The planning staff consulted with all city departments and utilities to determine any objections based on public health and safety, and no safety objections were raised. Richmond sanitary engineer Elijah Welch stated that Richmond Sanitary District had no issue providing relief from Article 15's requirement to plant trees and shrubs around the proposed dry pond. However, he stated that erosion should be controlled by grass and vegetation. Staff recommends approval of the petition to allow relief from interstate buffering standards and adjacent property buffering standards, non-residential lot planting standards, and pond planting standards for the dry pond, and outdoor industrial storage standards in the I-2 district. Upon these findings of facts, the approval of the variance will not be injurious to the public health, safety, and morals and general welfare of the community because the landscaping and screening requirements are for visual purposes and will not affect the public health, safety, and morals, general welfare on this lot. The proposed use, manufacturing heavy, is permitted in the I-2 industrial district. The use involves on-site movement of heavy vehicles and materials, stockpiles, which needs to be unencumbered unencumbered by incompatible site obstructions. The overall site is located between an industrial road network and an interstate. The land use to the east is not routinely inhabited or visited by people, and the use is temporary through 12/15 of 2031, the expected date. Number two, the use and the value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner because the proposed use is located in a major industrial business corridor and adjacent to an interstate highway where heavy manufacturing uses, among other compatible non-residential uses, are expected to locate and are supported by existing zoning and the comprehensive plan. Interstate 70 abuts the parcel's north line. A vast solar array farm abuts the east side, and the anticipated industrial and other business and industrial uses abut the site to the south and to the west, all of which are considered to be compatible with the proposed use. The asphalt plant will be sited as far to the north nearest to I-70 as the site will allow. No landscaping or screening of outdoor storage will be seen from any roadways and will not affect surrounding properties. Number 3, the strict application of the terms of the ordinance will result in practical difficulties in the use of the property because these requirements are typically intended for permanent usage, and this asphalt plant will be temporary. Additionally, visual enhancements can't be seen by the roadway, and requiring them would constitute an unnecessary practical difficulty. Private agreements between the property owner and the owner of the 4 billboards located proximate to I-70 prohibit any plantings that will impede billboard visibility from the I-70 will also result in a practical difficulty. There are 2 written commitments. Number 1, the property's temporary use as a portable asphalt plant is expected to cease by December 15th, 2031, at which point any approved variances associated with BZA 2324 will expire and no longer be in effect. Number 2, if relief from pond planting requirements is approved, the petitioner must include areas to be fully vegetated to prevent control erosion. And I'm happy to answer questions.
Any questions for the staff?
I have a question. So the last written commitment, so who's responsible for checking up on that or making sure that happens from the city? Is that you guys?
Well, we would do a zoning look, once it's all complete, and then Richmond Sanitation would probably,
Thank you.
keep an eye on that.
Question about the pond. Is it a dry pond because we're in a drought?
No, I mean,
Or is it just a hole in the ground that's not really a pond?
No, they're all called ponds. Some are wet, some are dry. The wet ones are called retention ponds because they will retain the water to a certain level. And the dry ponds are those that will release the water at an approved rate, but eventually down to the bottom of the pond.
So it's one that you're building, not one that's already
Correct.
there. Thank you.
You're
I'm so
welcome.
confused. I was like,
Good question. Good
why
question.
would we not want to protect the pond? All right, thank you very much. Any other questions? Okay, hearing no more questions, I would love a motion. Entertain a motion. I don't know why I can't remember that.
I'll make a motion to approve BZA 23-2024, finding the facts and the 2 written commitments.
Second?
Roll call.
Rob Tidrow,
Aye.
Sayward Salazar,
Aye.
Nathan Sheets.
Aye.
All right, thank you very much.
Be so happy when we get 3 lanes out there.
Yeah.
Yes, we do have an issue with BZA 22-2024. They are due to close on this property on Friday, and they need something in writing from us saying that this was approved. So if it's okay with the board, we can put approved on my staff report, and we can put the date, and if you would just sign it.
Absolutely.
His lender is here, and, we'll accept that.
Yeah.
And can we go ahead and state for the record, does staff normally record these in a somewhat timely manner after approval? And what's the timeline look on that?
It's usually done a week after this meeting, and then it's sent over to the courthouse for recording.
Okay, so with that in mind, I'm okay with the board making a motion to allow you to sign, just an indication that this did get approved based upon findings of fact. There was no written commitment on the second one.
No.
And maybe even a little notation that this is to be recorded along with your signature. So if the board would be willing to entertain that motion, please.
I'll entertain that motion. I do have one question. Does this go to the city council, like the bank? Okay. So I'll make a motion to approve what Ms. Bessel's,
What she said.
what she said.
That was a lot to
Yes.
remember.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Rob Tidrow,
Aye.
Sayward Salazar.
Aye.
Nathan Sheets.
Aye.
Filing deadline for next month's meeting, December 11th, 2024. It's today, November 13th, 2024. How many do we have?
4.
Oh, boy. Okay. Thank you very much. There is nothing else. We are adjourned.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I was
We're all,
waiting for that.
go, or
You are watching Whitewater Government Television, WGTV, Channel 11, part of the Whitewater Community Television family of stations.